First question is in the name of Grant Robertson.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Prime Minister. Is it his responsibility to, quote, get to the bottom, unquote, of who leaked the Kitteridge report? If not, why not?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, I saw it as my responsibility to attempt to determine how the report was leaked. Therefore, I asked the Chief Executive of DPMC and the Director of GCSB to launch an inquiry into the leaking of the compliance review. That inquiry has taken place and it's resulted in an outcome. Peter Dunn has resigned as the Minister. He did not meet the inquiry's request for information and that inquiry is now over.
Supplementary question, Mr Speaker.
Supplementary question, Grant Robertson.
Given Peter Dunn's insistence that he did not leak the Kitteridge report, why did he not give him the opportunity to go on oath and clear his name?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, he, I'm sure, could have chosen to do that if he wanted to. That wasn't actually relevant. What was relevant was he failed to comply with the inquiry.
Supplementary question, Mr
Supplementary
Speaker.
question, Grant Robertson.
Why is he not now prepared to do what he said he would do when he called the inquiry and get to the bottom of who leaked the Kitteridge report?
Well, right Honourable
Speaker,
Prime Minister.
Firstly, a minister has failed to comply with the inquiry. I think in itself that speaks volumes and people can take their own conclusions from that. Secondly, to take the matter further, realistically, would require me to reconstitute the inquiry, to demand those emails were presented, demand those emails. And to do that, I would need to see both sets of the emails. And as I've made clear, I'm not prepared to do that.
Supplementary question,
Supplementary question, Grant Robertson.
Why is he not prepared to let Mr Dunn go on oath?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, because there's no need for me to do that. The inquiry's been completed and the minister's resigned.
Supplementary question, Mr Speaker.
Supplementary question, Grant Robertson.
In light of that answer, can the Prime Minister tell the House who leaked the Kitteridge report?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, conclusively no, but I think we can determine from actions or inactions of people that will speak volumes for New Zealanders to make a call on what they think is taking place. But I would remind the member that a member of his party has written to the Privileges Committee. The Speaker will have to make a determination on whether that's referred to the Privileges Committee, and when it goes, or if it goes to the Privileges Committee, then members will have to decide whether they A, want to follow the course of action that the member has discussed, and also B, whether they wish to subpoena the emails from both a journalist and obviously from the ex-minister.
Supplementary question, Grant Robertson.
Did he and Mr Dunn agree Mr Dunn's resignation on the evening of the 5th of June?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, no, I'm not quite sure I'd describe it in that way. What happened on the evening of the 5th of June was I made it quite clear to Mr Dunn my expectation that he was to comply with the report or comply with the inquiry. I made it quite clear to him, look, in the end, if he failed to do that, then he would have to resign. He made it clear to me on that evening that he wouldn't be complying with the inquiry. I think that spoke for itself. But he finally got his letter of resignation on Friday the 6th, or 2 days later, whatever that date is.
Supplementary question, the Right Honourable Winston Peters.
Did the Prime Minister see the review of the GCSB report that Sir Bruce Ferguson, former head of the GCSB, described as not, and I quote him, just sensitive, and further, it was more than that, end of quotes?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, no.
Supplementary question, Right Honourable Winston Peters.
Did the person the Prime Minister appointed to do the GCSB review, the Secretary of Cabinet, Rebecca Kitteridge, show the Prime Minister the report Sir Bruce Ferguson saw, or another version by described by Sir Bruce as... Speaker, can you shut Noddy up over there? He keeps on shouting out in the middle of a very important security issue.
Order. Would the member just ask his question?
Well, let's hear.
Order.
All in good time. Did the person The Prime Minister appointed to do the GCSB review, the Secretary of Cabinet, Rebecca Kitteridge, show the Prime Minister the report Sir Bruce Ferguson saw, or another version described by Sir Bruce as, quotes, a sanitised version, and where he went on to say, quotes, there was lots missing, end of quotes.
Right, Honourable Prime Minister.
3 points. No, I didn't see that report. 2, no, I didn't see any other version than the final version. It might be an unusual way of running an inquiry under this government, but we let people get on with the job and present the final reports. And the third point is, Noddy has a point.
And the third point is not helpful.
But not between his ears.
Supplementary question. Right, Honourable
question.
Winston Peters.
Could the Prime Minister please explain to the House and the country why classified information in the original report was then moved into the appendices of the final report, and then those appendices were withheld from final publication?
Right, Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I don't know if deliberately or by accident or for whatever reason the member seems to be confusing different lines of questioning, but is the member talking about the inquiry into the potential leak, or is he talking about the GCSB report?
Point of order. Could I explain?
Point of order. Right, Honourable
Speaker,
Winston
I am
Peters.
talking in this question about...
Order. I think the difficulty I've now got is the Prime Minister in answering has asked a question.
That's right.
So the easiest way forward is I'm going to invite the member to re-ask his supplementary question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Very gracious of you. Could the Prime Minister please explain to the House and the country why classified information in the original GCSB Kitteridge report was moved into the appendices of the final report, and then those appendices were withheld upon publication?
Right, Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker, so 2 points. The first is I think the member is basing his question on a presumption which I don't have any knowledge on, or may well not be correct. My understanding of the GCSB report was...
Point of order. Right, Honourable Winston Peters.
Speaker, I am seeking to table an article which debunks the Prime Minister's claim that I'm making assumptions. It is a spokesman for the GCSB who is saying this, and then a spokesman for the Prime Minister who is saying it.
Order.
All in the last paragraph.
Order. What is the source of the document?
Well, it's the New Zealand Herald, page 10 today.
Order. I am not putting that. Has the member got a further supplementary question?
That's okay. If...
Order, Mr. Speaker.
Order.
I'm sorry to interrupt the right honourable.
Point of order.
Sir, we do have a problem, sir, when we have the spokesperson for the Prime Minister making a statement and the Prime Minister denying the facts of that statement.
Order. The point of order was around the tabling of a document. I have ruled that we're not tabling bits of the New Zealand Herald.
Supplementary question.
I have a supplementary question from the Right Honourable Winston Peters.
Having regard to the report in today's Herald, page 10, under the name David Fisher, which says a spokesman for the GCSB said the production of the final report saw it prepared for public release with classified information moved into the appendices. A spokesman for the Prime Minister said the only copy Mr Key ever received was released in full with classified appendices withheld. Having regard to that, was the report sanitised because the Cabinet Secretary feared there was a leak in the Intelligence Security Committee or amongst
Bring
his
the question
ministers?
to an end. It's a very long question.
Point of order. Point of order, Mr Speaker. With the greatest respect, the Prime Minister gets up and denies a comment from his own...
If the member wants to stay in the House and continuing his line of questions, he will not object to me when I ask him to bring his question to conclusion, which is an excessively long supplementary.
Point of order.
Point of order. I'll take the Right Honourable Winston
Mr Speaker, the reason why, and I thought it would be understood, I needed to put it on the record, was we had a denial in the prior answer of its existence and an inference that I was being confused on the issue. I am quoting from the GCSB and the Prime Minister.
I've heard quite sufficient. The difficulty the member has with his point of order is, as the Prime Minister was answering, the member raised a point of order and sought to table a document. So he can't really say the Prime Minister denied it. Now, is there a further point of order? Is there a further point of order from the Honourable Clayton?
With respect, Mr Speaker,
Order. Point of orders. Point of order will be heard, and it will be heard in silence. But
I'll save the sausage roll for you, Jerry.
Order.
My point of order.
The member knows the rules. He objected to a point of order being heard with noise from that side, and then immediately starts his point of order with talk about a sausage roll. That is not helpful to the House, and the member, Clayton Cosgrove, has to learn to behave himself in this House. Does the member still want to raise a point of order? We will listen to the point of order in silence.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My first shorter point of order, and I accept your ruling and admonishment.
Order with the member, just get on with it.
Admonishment completely, is I'd just like some consistency, sir, when people are interjecting on points of order.
And that is challenging. No, sit down, please. That is now challenging me and suggesting that I'm biased. That's a very serious offence. Well, the member's asking for consistency. I read it no other way. And if the member continues with those sorts of points of order, then he won't have the benefit of seeing out question time.
Order, Mr. Speaker.
And this is a fresh point of order?
Indeed it is, sir. Thank you.
Looking forward to it. Fresh point of order, the Honourable Clayton Cosgrove.
As am I, sir. My second point of order, sir, on the length of answers is I seek your advice. Because you have, as is your right, with answers to questions, allowed significantly long answers, and that's as it should be. I'd simply ask for your ruling in terms of what length is permissible for a question, because I accept that Mr. Peters' question was slightly longer, but you have allowed lengthy answers from ministers in the past, sir.
Can I just ask the member to look at Standing Order 377? Supplementary question, Grant Robertson.
Mr.
I have
Speaker,
a point of order first of all from the Right Honourable.
Speaker,
order. I have a point of order first from the Right Honourable.
I asked a question of the Prime Minister, and I'm waiting for an answer.
Yes, that is true, and I presume that's then the Prime Minister's point of order, so we'll now hear from the answer.
Mr. Speaker, so no was the answer to the last part of the question. It's also important to understand that the point I was making was quite correct. I was, my office was asked about whether we saw multiple copies of the Kitteridge report. The answer to that is absolutely no. We saw the final report only. The point the GCSB spokesman was making, that the member was trying to conflate, was actually about why information was moved from one part of the report to the other. I wasn't advised about that, but the assumption I was made is because, which would be self-explanatory, was that the report itself was going to be fully released in the public domain. There was obviously confidential and sensitive information that was held in the appendices that were never going to be released.
Supplementary question, the Right Honourable Winston.
When the Prime Minister says he wasn't advised, does that include any member of his staff that was working with him on this matter? And if so, when the Prime Minister spoke to Mr Dunn, who reportedly said, and I quote him, he couldn't explain it, end of quotes, what was it he could not explain?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Well, Mr Speaker, I can't answer for Mr Dunn. That's his quote. Well, that's his quote. So, no, I cannot answer for Mr Dunn.
Supplementary question, Grant Robertson.
Did any member of staff in his office or from the DPMC update him on David Henry's progress in completing the inquiry before the 5th of June?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, I wasn't kept up to date with the inquiry from Mr Henry or Mr Kibblewhite. Mr Kibblewhite advised my Chief of Staff that there was an ongoing process, that things were taking some time. Well, no, I didn't say that. I said there was an ongoing process that was going on. I didn't see any final reports until the last report that came along.
Point of order, Mr Speaker. Sorry. Point of order.
Point of order, Grant Robertson.
My question said, did any staff member in his office or from DPMC update him on David Henry's progress? The Prime Minister didn't answer that question. He described a conversation between Mr Kibblewhite and Mr
Is the Prime Minister prepared to answer that question more specifically?
Well, Mr Speaker, what I made clear was Mr Kibblewhite kept Mr Eagleson broadly updated. Mr Eagleson made it clear to me it would take some time longer, and there was issues of ministers having to comply. I was aware of that issue, and I made it clear to Mr. You didn't ask me exactly when that question took place.
Question number 2, Dr. Russell Norman.
Thank you, Mr Speaker.